Welcome to Taking Stock, Causes, Characteristics, and Impacts of Unmanageability in Our Lives. If you've taken any of my classes, subscribed to my newsletter, or watched my videos, you know that each year I choose a theme that hopefully will help people see themselves and their place in the world with new eyes. And so the theme I chose for cracking open our consciousness in 2026 is Living a More Manageable Life. So, why is life management important? Well, we live in a world where everything is changing very quickly, and at times the future seems uncertain and unpredictable. Making life manageable can often feel impossible. Some of us have a hard time managing anything, let alone everything. Trying and often failing to balance work, personal or professional commitments, and self care can leave us feeling overwhelmed and stressed. Fortunately, there's a fix for that. Life management allows us to step out of the hustle and bustle of just trying to put one foot in front of the other and into a real enjoyment of life. We're better equipped to effectively navigate and organize our lives, make informed decisions, identify essential tasks, prioritize what needs to be done efficiently, keep track of our responsibilities, consistently follow through on our commitments, and adapt and adjust to new circumstances. Now, keep in mind that having an unmanageable life doesn't necessarily mean that our lives are completely out of control. Notice that I said more manageable life as my theme for 2026. Not completely manageable, perfectly manageable, or even simply manageable. Life without problems doesn't exist. We all have daily challenges we need to face. But a life where we can prioritize the most meaningful, important things is within our reach and our control. The idea is to make small adjustments wherever we can. So throughout 2026, I'll be posting videos each month that explore strategies and skills that can help you minimize stress, organize your time, maintain your mental health, enhance your productivity, improve your quality of life, and achieve a sense of commitment. And you can watch all of these for free right here on my YouTube channel. Now, the purpose of this video is to summarize what I've covered thus far throughout 2026, the causes, characteristics, and impacts of unmanageability in our lives. So let's get started. To help us move from a state of chaos and powerlessness to one of order, control, and contentment, I created what I call 4 simple steps to living a more manageable life, which are based very loosely on the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And you can watch a free video here on my YouTube channel that describes the steps in detail. Now, ultimately, living a more manageable life is about transforming our mindset. Peter Drucker described it like this: do the right things instead of trying to do everything right. So the 4 steps shown on this slide can help us do all of that and more. Number 1, we admitted we felt powerless at times and our lives had become unmanageable as a result. 2, came to believe that we could restore ourselves to some measure of stability, balance, and sanity, and decided to do something about it. 3, made a searching, honest, and fearless personal inventory of our habits, behaviors, and present circumstances in order to uncover how powerlessness and unmanageability had manifested in our lives. And number 4, implemented an action plan to address our difficulties and move from a state of chaos and powerlessness to one of order and control. Then, to make this journey a bit more manageable, I divided it into 2 phases: taking stock and taking action. So let's look at phase 1, taking stock. When life feels tough, it can help to take a step back and reassess your situation, to recognize how your life has become unmanageable and determine how to get back in control. You must understand where you are now. To take stock means to pause and evaluate your current situation, habits, behaviors, and feelings non-judgmentally. It's a period of self-reflection where you look at where you are, where you've been, in order to figure out where you want to go. So this slide shows some of the questions we're going to be exploring during this phase and what I'm going to cover in this video. What does a manageable life look like? How has unmanageability manifested in my life? What does it mean to feel powerless? To what extent have my beliefs and decisions contributed to the consequences of feeling powerless and out of control? And then last, what habits and behaviors do I have that could be allowing chaos to rule my life? Now, admittedly, taking stock is not for the faint of heart. It takes courage, commitment, and honesty. But sometimes we need to make an extraordinary effort, especially if we're looking to restore ourselves to some measure of stability, balance, and sanity. Now, most of us have some idea of what it means to live with manageability, even if it's only a vague feeling. So let's start by defining what a manageable life is and what it isn't. Because after all, when we take stock, how can we know whether our lives have become unmanageable when we have no idea what manageability even looks like? So this slide shows just some of the key characteristics of living a manageable life. Do any of these resonate with you? And as you connect with these, think how simple and obvious many of these are. Most of us know most of this already. So are you making anything in your life more complicated than it needs to be? First, incorporating routine, structure, and flexibility in order to navigate each day with purpose. A manageable life usually involves some degree of structure. This could be through routines or schedules that help you navigate each day with purpose. And while routine is important, flexibility is just as vital. Being adaptable to life's unpredictability allows you to handle changes without feeling overwhelmed. Next, being able to manage time effectively, prioritize tasks, and set limits. Knowing what matters most and focusing energy on those tasks can create a sense of achievement without overloading yourself. Managing time well also involves setting limits, whether it's work hours, time spent on social media, or personal commitments. Next, maintaining emotional regulation, self-awareness, and stress management. Being aware of your emotions and understanding what triggers stress or anxiety can help you respond more thoughtfully. Incorporating stress-relieving practices like mindfulness, exercise, or hobbies into your routine can make challenges feel less overwhelming. Next, having support systems and healthy relationships, maintaining boundaries. Having friends, family, or a community to rely on provides emotional support and can ease the burden of life's challenges. Healthy relationships include respecting your own boundaries and others, avoiding overcommitment, and engaging in relationships that nourish your well-being. The next characteristic is prioritizing physical health, exercise, nutrition, and sleep. Regular physical exercise has a huge impact on mental and physical health, reducing stress, boosting energy, and improving mood. Eating well, getting enough rest are foundational to feeling good and being able to manage the demands of life. Practicing mindfulness, presence, and gratitude, focusing on the present rather than stressing about the future or dwelling on the past helps to reduce mental clutter and anxiety. Taking time to recognize what you're grateful for can shift focus away from what's not going well, fostering a more positive outlook. Being able to identify purpose, fulfillment, meaningful goals, value-based actions. Having clear goals, whether personal, professional, creative, provides a sense of direction and fulfillment. Doing things that align with your core values and passions leads to a sense of purpose and contentment, making life feel more manageable. Implementing financial planning, stability, and flexibility. Having a clear understanding of your finances and planning for the future helps avoid stress related to money. A manageable life doesn't mean being completely debt-free, but having the tools to handle financial challenges without panic. Demonstrating resilience, adaptability, and problem solving. Life is unpredictable, and the ability to bounce back from setbacks, learning from challenges instead of letting them derail you, is key. The ability to break down problems into manageable steps and take action, rather than being paralyzed by uncertainty, is essential for a balanced life. Holding space for self-care, downtime, passions, and hobbies. Ensuring there's time for relaxation and recharging prevents burnout and allows you to stay engaged with life. Doing things purely for enjoyment, whether it's reading, painting, traveling, or whatever else brings you joy, helps keep life enriching and manageable. Embracing a growth mindset and continuous learning. Embracing the idea that growth is ongoing, whether it's through education, personal development, or gaining new experiences, keeps life interesting and manageable as challenges become opportunities for growth. And then last, being intentional. A manageable life balances thoughts, feelings, needs, and wants to create sustainable rhythms. So now that you know what a manageable life looks like, let's do a deeper dive into what an unmanageable life might look like. Now, unmanageability is characterized by a persistent sense of anxiety and chaos that survives even when outward appearances seem stable, leaving us feeling overwhelmed, chaotic, and emotionally neglected in daily life. In addition, feelings of restlessness, irritability, and discontent often accompany unmanageability, making it hard to find peace or satisfaction. Now, remember that having an unmanageable life doesn't necessarily mean that your life is completely chaotic or out of control. Instead, even little things can be a sign, such as being unable to complete a task or meet other responsibilities you know you need to do something about, but you're either unable or unwilling to take action. Now, it's not always clear when life has become unmanageable. This can manifest in various ways. And this slide shows some of the key characteristics of living an unmanageable life. And again, do any of these resonate with you? Feeling like something's off or not right in one or more areas of your life, but not sure what it is. Feeling stressed out, but unsure why or what to do about it. Neglecting responsibilities, putting off anything that is unpleasant. Neglecting self-care, ignoring unhealthy habits, unable to make time for physical activity, exercise, meditation, social interactions, hobbies, and activities that bring you joy to counterbalance stress. Finding yourself asking, where did the time go? Feeling like time got away from you. Not having good or any time management skills. Feeling like you can't say no, not having sufficient boundaries. Having the best of intentions regarding what you need to do, but not being able to do anything about it. Deliberately or unconsciously making mountains out of molehills and vice versa. Unable to figure out what should be a priority and what shouldn't. Feeling like one or more areas of your life are not under your control, but should be. Feeling overwhelmed by everything that you or others have piled on your plate. Having trouble keeping track of everything that you or others have piled on your plate. Thinking that work-life balance is an unachievable goal, and blaming others. Now, a key aspect of unmanageability that's closely connected to this is powerlessness and feeling like things are out of control. How might those feelings impact our daily lives? Now, step one of my 4 steps is the foundational work that sets the stage for all of 2026, and it goes like this. We admitted that we felt powerless at times and that our lives had become unmanageable as a result. A key concept in step one then is powerlessness, because feeling powerless is too often at the heart of why our lives have become unmanageable. So, first, let's talk about what power means. Power is the ability to do what you need or want to do effectively. If you don't own this kind of power, you lose your sense of peace. You're in a very vulnerable place. Now, on the other hand, powerlessness is a perception that we lack control over situations, personal or professional circumstances, and outcomes. When we believe that others hold authority or control over our lives, this can influence personal and professional interactions significantly, limit opportunities, and reinforce feelings of powerlessness in shaping our future. Powerlessness can lead to negative mental states such as anxiety, stress, and low self-esteem. The feeling of powerlessness can also affect social interactions by fostering withdrawal or passivity in relationships. And powerlessness leads to lower motivation, hindering us from pursuing our goals actively and decreasing initiative, causing less proactive behavior in daily tasks. Now, powerlessness can manifest in various ways, and this slide shows just a few of the key characteristics of powerlessness. And again, do any of these resonate with you? Unable to do what you need or want to do effectively, reacting out of a fear or a sense of helplessness, feeling like you can't say no, not having sufficient boundaries in one or more areas of your life, feeling like one or more areas of your life are not under your control, but should be, having limited influence or say over decision-making, situations, or outcomes, feeling overwhelmed by everything that you or others have piled on your plate, having trouble even keeping track of everything that you or others have piled on your plate, lacking sufficient resources needed to shape your future, and once again, also blaming others. Now, make no mistake, believing that we lack real power or control over our lives, and as a result, our lives have become unmanageable, should not be ignored. This belief can significantly reduce our overall quality of life if unaddressed, making it hard to find peace, satisfaction, or any amount of manageability. Which brings us to the next step in taking stock, which is step 2. Came to believe that we could restore ourselves to some measure of stability, balance, and sanity, and decided to do something about it. There are 2 key concepts in this step, which I think of as twin pillars. 1, coming to believe that restoration is possible. 2, making the decision to do something about it. We can't make real progress towards restoration if we don't believe that progress is possible or that we're capable of change. Belief must come first before change can happen. And false beliefs about our ability to change will hold us back from gaining freedom. And once we decide to come to believe, we then need to decide to take action. And that's the key to making success possible. So let's begin with the concept of coming to believe. Now, a belief is something we consider to be a fact, that something is the case or true. Beliefs are basically the guiding principles that provide direction and meaning in life. We use our beliefs to understand and navigate our world. An important aspect of our belief system is that beliefs can be empowering or limiting. Empowering beliefs invoke positive thoughts and emotions and encourage us to act as if success, growth, and manageability in our lives are inevitable. They allow us to act resiliently and decisively, enable us to believe in ourselves, expand our possibilities, bolster our self-esteem, and drive us towards our goals. An example of an empowering belief is, I am more than enough and capable of growth. Limiting beliefs invoke negative thoughts and emotions, limit our potential, or the way we perceive our abilities, circumstances, or opportunities, and keep us from making informed decisions. Limiting beliefs act as mental, often invisible barriers that hold us back from being able to experience any real fulfillment in life. An example of a limiting belief is, I'm not good enough. Now, most importantly, beliefs are preset, organized, self-created filters to our perceptions of the world that originate from what we see and hear and keep on seeing and hearing from others and then decide must be true. Now, how might this result in unmanageability in our daily lives, leaving us feeling powerless and out of control, and impact our ability to live a more manageable life? Now, the phrase coming to believe refers to a gradual process of shifting from doubt, skepticism, or despair to a state of hope and conviction. Unlike a sudden epiphany, this concept describes an evolution of one's core belief system that happens over time through experience and observation. It signifies a willingness to trust in oneself to restore sanity or balance. Now, most importantly, in terms of taking stock, it also involves a mix of self-awareness, critical questioning, and taking action to challenge and change those beliefs. Remember what we said about powerlessness. It is a belief, a perception that we are powerless. Think about beliefs by which you navigate your daily life right now. Then ask yourself the questions shown on this slide. These questions are especially relevant when we're trying to identify how our lives have become unmanageable in order to restore some measure of stability, balance, and sanity. So for each belief you hold, ask yourself these questions. Is my belief true? If it is true, what does that mean about me and how I live my life? How does this belief impact my life and decisions? What's the specific evidence for or against this belief? Am I assuming my view of things is the only one possible? Am I basing this on facts or on an emotional reaction? Am I using absolute terms like always, never, or everyone? Could there be another interpretation of this situation, circumstance, or event? How do I react and what happens when I believe this belief? What would I gain if I overcame this belief? What would I be without this belief? Does this belief really belong to me, or did I inherit it from someone else or a past experience or event? Was this a period in my life when I did not hold this belief? How does holding on to this belief impact my life and choices? What would I gain? And what might I have to give up if I stopped believing this? What would I do differently today if I were completely free from this belief? So now let's take a look at that second concept in step 2, making a decision. Now, once you come to believe that restoration is possible, simply by challenging your limiting beliefs, you're now at a crossroads. This is your opportunity to make the most important decision you will ever make in your quest for taking control in order to live a more powerful life. And you need to make this decision consciously, carefully, and powerfully. Now, what does it mean to make a decision? To make a decision means to select a course of action from among several possible options. Our decisions can range from automatic everyday choices to deliberate complex judgments. The action of making a decision enables us to move from a state of uncertainty or multiple possibilities to a single resolution. Most importantly, in terms of taking stock, the decisions we make involve the courageous facing of issues, knowing that if they're not faced, the problems that created unmanageability in our lives will remain forever unanswered. In terms of experiencing unmanageability in our lives, one of the key causes is being unable or unwilling to make decisions. Effective decision-making begins by addressing what makes us indecisive. Recognizing and identifying the causes and their potential sources is the first step to understanding their influence. Now, indecision often stems from anxiety, a fear of making the wrong choice, and perfectionism, where the pressure to find the perfect option causes analysis paralysis. This slide shows some of the key causes of indecision, and again, do any of these resonate with you? Fear of failure or regret, anxiety about negative outcomes or being judged. Perfectionism, the belief that a decision must be perfect, leading to procrastination. Anxiety and low self-confidence, doubting one's ability to make a sound decision. People-pleasing, fearing to disappoint others or fear of conflict. Analysis paralysis, overthinking, overanalyzing too much information or over-researching options. Decision fatigue, being overwhelmed by too many choices. Unclear priorities, difficulty defining what is important, making it hard to compare choices. Past experiences, previous negative outcomes causing fear of repeating mistakes. And upbringing, overprotective parenting can hinder independent decision-making skills. Theodore Roosevelt said this: in any moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The next best thing is the wrong thing. And the worst thing you can do is nothing. Indecision is debilitating. It can feed upon itself and can become habit forming. And our habits can be just as debilitating when it comes to unmanageability. So let's take a closer look at how. Now, let's look at the third and final step in the taking stock phase of my 4-step process. Step 3 is making a searching, honest, and fearless personal inventory of our habits, behaviors, and present circumstances in order to uncover how powerlessness and unmanageability had manifested in our lives. Do you find yourself behaving in the same way over and over, often with the same negative results, impact, or unwanted outcomes? Have you ever asked yourself, why does this keep happening to me? Why do I behave this way? Well, it's simple, really. Old behaviors result in old outcomes. If unmanageability is manifesting in one or more areas of your life, taking stock and making a personal inventory of behaviors can help you to identify repeated behaviors in your encounters, experiences, situations, and relationships that have caused you or others harm or unhappiness. Identify your true motivations and their impact on your life, as well as the lives of others. Identify the behaviors that no longer serve you and you want to change. Determine why you want to change them and define what the new outcome will be. And avoid old, unmanageable ways of navigating your daily life. Now, as you work through this taking stock piece, there are a number of important questions you'll be exploring. Why do I often behave in certain ways that result in stressful outcomes? Why do I continually experience the same situations or types of people in my life that are not in my best interest? Why do I repeatedly give my power or authority to others, even though the outcome doesn't promote my well-being? How are my present behaviors contributing to the feeling of powerlessness, being out of control, and unmanageability? Now, behaviors can be either adaptive or maladaptive. Adaptive behaviors help us meet life's demands and grow personally. Conversely, maladaptive behaviors, such as procrastination or avoidance, can help hinder progress and reduce our overall quality of life. This slide shows common maladaptive behaviors that result from unmanageability in one or more areas of our lives. And again, do any of these resonate with you? Acting out, acting as if, reacting out of fear, a sense of helplessness, or being found out, deliberately or unconsciously making mountains out of molehills, and vice versa, jumping in with both feet without considering consequences, unable to maintain healthy boundaries, being too accessible, unable to reduce the number of ways people can reach you, running away or staying too long, being unwilling or unable to commit, overcommitting, going along, overindulging in anything, eating, drinking, spending, working, unable to maintain healthy relationships, depending on others rather than yourself, inappropriate or unnecessary caregiving or caretaking, unable to express yourself clearly and connect with others, blaming, controlling, judging, or criticizing others unfairly, unable to keep track of your responsibilities and commitments, unable to manage time effectively, prioritize tasks, set limits, set deadlines, and allocate your time wisely, neglecting responsibilities, putting off anything that's unpleasant, unable to stay focused on your goals, resist distractions, and consistently follow through on your commitments, unable to identify problems and find creative solutions, unable to make informed and confident decisions, avoiding taking action or making decisions, using rigid thinking, lacking resilience or adaptability, neglecting physical, mental, emotional, and/or spiritual self-care, unable to maintain emotional regulation, self-awareness, and stress management, unable to incorporate routine, structure, and flexibility in order to navigate each day with purpose, unable to identify purpose, fulfillment, meaningful goals, value-based actions, unable to hold space for downtime, passions, and hobbies, unable to balance thoughts, feelings, needs, and wants to create sustainable daily rhythms. Now, you need to identify any maladaptive behavior you might be exhibiting in order to change how you interact or engage with the world going forward. So here's an example. When looking at the most common characteristics of an unmanageable life, I showed you that on a few slides back. Maybe you identified with this one, feeling like you can't say no. At one time or another, most people have experienced this feeling. Now, looking at this slide and possible maladaptive behaviors for feeling like you can't say no, any one of these could be a behavior you exhibit. Being unable to maintain healthy boundaries, being too accessible, unable to reduce the number of ways people can reach you, overcommitting, going along, being unable to keep track of your responsibilities and commitments, being unable to manage time effectively, prioritize tasks, set limits, set deadlines, and allocate your time wisely. All of these can be behaviors that we exhibit as a result of this one common unmanageability characteristic. Taking stock of your behaviors in order to uncover how powerlessness and unmanageability have manifested in your life ultimately enables you to begin living a more manageable life. And how is that? You identify repeated behaviors in order to correct those behaviors and pursue only those things that are in your best and highest interest. In addition, taking inventory will enable you to recognize when unmanageability might be slipping back into your life. The key to lasting change is building new positive behaviors while disrupting the cues that trigger unhealthy or maladaptive ones. Well, I hope this video has given you a better understanding of the causes, characteristics, and impacts of unmanageability in our lives. And if you'd like to know more, then I invite you to join the quest for living a more manageable life in 2026. And this slide shows how you can be part of that journey. First, I mentioned this already. You can watch the free video on the 4 steps right here on my YouTube channel. It goes into detail about the 4 steps and each phase. And you can watch that for free. Subscribe to my newsletter. Throughout 2026, I'm providing insights, strategies, tips, and tricks that can be a catalyst for change, helping us to adjust our behaviors and learn new skills to handle various aspects of our lives more efficiently. To receive the newsletter, you'll need to fill out the subscribe form on my website. But rest assured, I respect your privacy. Your email address will never be used for any other purpose than to give you the latest news, plus some free perks and swag now and again. Register for online classes. I'm doing 4 paid classes this year that focus on various aspects of living a more manageable life. There are 2 remaining for 2026. In August, I'm hosting From Unmanageable to Manageable, Life Management Skills for Any Level of Chaos. During this class, we'll look at the most common life management skills we can use to move from a state of chaos and powerlessness to one of order, control, and contentment. And then in October, I'm hosting Getting Your Unmanageable Ducks in a Row, Taking Action to Live a More Manageable Life. During this class, you'll discover how to translate your intentions, ideas, and plans into concrete results, because it's the only way you're going to make progress possible and success achievable. I also mentioned this earlier. Throughout 2026, I'll be posting lots of free new videos that will explore many of the topics I've discussed in this video and in the 4 steps to living a more manageable life in depth. You can watch these for free right here on my YouTube channel. And then, of course, if you'd like to go deeper into this subject and would like some additional one-on-one coaching, let me know and we can determine the best way to go ahead for you. And you can use the contact me form on my website to let me know what more I can do for you. And then, of course, you can follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and Pinterest. And if you like this video, please remember to give me a big thumbs up and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. So thanks for watching today.